All right, welcome back everyone to Michiel's Tech Corner of today. I have Pauline and Michiel again with us. Pauline, Michiel, how are you doing?
Doing fine, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. I'm excited to be here again. Pauline has a very interesting article with us, and it's here on the screen, revealing intra and intercontainer fruit quality heterogeneity. Het, Reviews?
It's not an easy one.
No, it's not. Within overseas refrigerated container shipment using a physics-based digital twin.
Those are a lot of words.
Yeah. Is there anything from the top of your head that you would like to say about this subject?
Yeah, so this actually came across my path, was shared by our friends at Neolithics. So thanks, David, for sharing this with us. And we're doing a project for the World Economic Forum together with Neolithics because we're part of the UP Accelerator program. And that actually kind of threw us deeper in this world of monitoring temperature of the in-transit shipments, which we've been doing for a long time already. What's really cool now is that we're going to combine this with the data from Neolithics, who actually take basically an X-ray, so to speak. They look inside the fruit at the origin and at destination, and we can bring that together with the in-transit data. And there's been a super interesting study published about that, where they actually monitored a lot of parameters within the container with hundreds of sensors. And it's a study that's just been released, so it's hot off the press, and it tells us more about the impact of temperature and humidity on the quality of the produce that's been shipped.
Very interesting. For me, as a novice in this subject, I would like to know, how do these fluctuations affect fruit quality? In which way? Is it some need high temperature, some need low? Is there any insights on that?
In the very beginning, I didn't think about that at all. Like if you ship something abroad, you expect it to arrive just anyhow. But if you think about it, like if you have to put an apple somewhere and you leave it like this on the desk for 30 days, then of course you will not eat it after 30 days anymore. So when you ship it abroad, of course, needs to be packaged well, needs to be temperature controlled well. It's actually a pretty complex matter.
It's incredibly complex. And the things you mentioned, such as packaging and even the way that it's stuffed inside the container, all affects the airflow, all affects basically the outcome of the shipment and the quality. So what we've seen here from the article is that temperature fluctuations can cause chilling injuries. So obviously your apple might get too hot, but actually when fruit gets too cold, it's equally damaging. And it can also accelerate what, with another difficult word, is described as senescence, and that's basically aging. So
I didn't hear anyone at Fruit Logistica talking about senescence.
no, indeed. So obviously, temperature can be either too hot, too cold, and this will cause rapid aging. However, it's the humidity fluctuations that will affect moisture loss, and that will make your fruit shrivel and also lose weight by the time it arrives.
And if you think about it, like you need to have the fruit shipped at a certain like ripening, and then it needs to arrive ready to sell because it needs to be good for 2 more weeks at the shelf or at the customer side. So there's a lot of thought process into that to getting it exactly in the right conditions there. I think for bananas, they even just ripe during transit.
Yeah, right. And that's a little bit of another subject, but those banana ships that used to be the way to transport bananas. So they would be chilled entirely. So the bananas would be placed in there, but not in separate containers. The whole cargo load will be chilled. But those are a little bit older ships, and they are being phased out because they don't meet the current requirements regarding environmental standards. So actually, a lot of banana shipments are now happening in reefer containers as well. So that's pretty cool.
What's exciting about this study? What did they research?
They researched all the different parameters that can actually cause the in-transit quality of the fruit. So we have temperature, humidity. What's also important is defrosting cycles. So they will, something that we've actually always thought might impact the quality of the fruit, but actually the defrosting cycles, those are pretty negligible. So the reefer container, just like your fridge, has a defrosting program. It'll shortly not cool as much in order to get rid of any buildup of frost. And so, yeah, humidity, what was a big finding there is that if humidity drops below 85% moisture, then that will cause a loss of mass of 5% or up to 5%. So, yeah, those
So there's
were,
1 ton going in and there's only 800 kilograms going out. So that's definitely not what you want when you make a sale.
no, indeed.
Yes, very interesting topic. In the article, we are also seeing the word digital twin coming back a few times. How would this impact the real-time monitoring on the fruit, and what is the biggest upside for this new technology coming into logistics?
I think the
It's
digital
such an
twins
overused
are, yeah, they're
word.
new and not new at the same time because they're being used quite a while already. I think they're a good way of thinking about the technology, and if we can recreate it digitally, like can we model it, and then we don't have to send shipments out and see that they have arrived well or not well. Of course, you have to test it in production, then as we would say, you have to test it in real life to see if your model is true. But it's not that new. And the language here reminds me a little bit of a project. I think we were approached in a project and they didn't believe yet that you could track parameters inside a container because they believed container is a Faraday cage.
Yeah.
You cannot track anything that's inside,
Yeah.
but of course our customers, they are already tracking the temperature and humidity inside.
Indeed. Yeah, I think digital twin, especially in this study, that's what they used to gather their data. So they would have these sensors inside the fruit itself, and that's really a more of a physics experiment thing. So that allowed them to identify the parameter values for a lot of physical locations inside the containers, and then that allows you to run simulations, like you said.
Yeah. For those simulations, you will need the data from these devices. And there we see that it's important, or for the future, it's important to have the trackers where you actually get the data live from the sensor versus what we call loggers, where you only get the data on a stick. But let's be honest, no one actually plugs in the stick. If the cargo is fine, then the sticks is just thrown away.
Yeah.
So for these good cargoes, you don't have this data. So it's very important to actually have it for any kind of cargo, even if
for
the
good
shipment
ones
went
as
well.
well. Yeah.
It's a little bit like the statistics example where they researched planes when they came back in the World War I or World War II, and they saw that the planes that came back, like they had these holes in the wings. So what they did is they made the wings stronger because that apparently is where a lot of these planes got hit. But in the end, it was the planes that didn't come back, like the ones that were hit in the engines,
Yeah.
that of course, were really the things you should protect. And also here, like you need the statistics of also the good cases to actually make this digital twin a reality.
That's actually a good example.
Was quite a far jump, but it was relevant here.
No, it makes it very clear to understand this problem. So the digital twin is more of a buzzword, and they want to use it everywhere. But
Yeah, but I think for this research, they used a digital twin, and that's totally valid, but it gets misused a lot as a buzzword.
yeah, so is it more that we have to see that AI and logistics in its whole will become more of a duo to look at, and maybe the insights that AI gives us from these logistics, how is that going to be in the future? And for Dockflow, how do we play in that new wave?
AI is absolutely a amazing tool for analyzing really large scale historical shipment data, and that's what we're doing at Dockflow as well. Because if you look at, we do that with shipment data, but if you look at these the data from sensors, then this will allow you to identify patterns in fruit degradation. And the next step, of course,
Absolutely,
is besides analyzing the historical stuff, we're gonna look at the future and make predictions.
absolutely.
Perfect. So these insights are more based on the fruits and reefer containers and everything. We also recently went to Fruit Logistica in Berlin. How was that for you? How was the trip? How was it in Berlin? What did you enjoy? What did you not enjoy?
Yeah, I think we should be asking Michiel how it was because it was your very first trade show.
Yes, yes, it indeed was my very first trade show. It was very interesting. Everyone said it's a very big fair. It's very interesting. You will see a lot of new stuff, which was also the case. It was so big. I did 20,000 steps every day, so my legs were hurt a bit. But it was really nice. We met some really good leads, some interesting people that wanted to showcase what they are doing, how we can help them, how they are already tracking their shipments overseas. Um, so for me personally, I would love to go back there and maybe have our own stand in a really nice hall. That would be really cool because for me, it's at the startup stage. It was interesting to also see other startups being there. We saw some very cool innovations of drones, which was very interesting for me.
Yes, that was like I always love wandering around in the. I didn't really have time for this year, but luckily we passed by a really cool drone store. But it's like
The one with the big drone.
but yeah, so and there you have for I guess fertilizing and managing the crops.
It's fun to see
really
all the
cool.
different kind of innovations there. Like we have a vision for the future and we have an innovation, but there are many different kinds for farms, for drones on
Packaging as well. And packaging is
as
so
well,
like
absolutely.
going back to the study,
Yeah.
packaging is so important. Yeah, it's, and I love what I also love is that these packaged fruits and meals that we buy at the local supermarkets here in Belgium, you'll actually see the packers have those.
And the machines
there as well.
that do it. Yeah. Very interesting to see. I think it's been the 5th time that we went there.
Ooh, I stopped counting. I
Fourth
don't
or
know.
the 5th time even. I remember in the very beginning that I thought, okay, a trade fair like this, probably it will disappear with digitization, but it even survived COVID. I think it
sold out.
only became bigger.
Yeah, every year, like we tried to have a stand this year, and we were too late, and it was.
We were
It was like yeah, but it was December, like or November. No, it was November, end of October, beginning of November, and it was already sold out.
Yeah, it's
so
crazy. It's still,
yeah,
and maybe I'm getting older, but I'm seeing a lot of younger people attending as well, which are extra. I see that when I attended first, like there was
Yeah.
only older people
felt
than
so
us,
out of
but,
place,
but now definitely there's also a lot of young people, or younger people than us at least.
yeah. I remember 2 or 3 years ago was the first time I saw someone else. I usually wear sneakers, but for Fruit Logistica, I'd wear like a little bit nicer shoes. But you walk 20,000 steps per day, like my feet would hurt so bad. And then I settle on Uggs, which is okay and acceptable because it's February in Berlin. But I saw people with sneakers 3 years ago, and I was like, yes. Finally, it is acceptable to our sneakers.
I think you made the same mistake with the
I for sure did this year. The next fair, you won't see me in some really nice shoes. It will be sneakers, for sure.
All right. Yeah, and we had a pretty well thought out schedule in terms of who was going to be there when, because February is a very busy month in terms of events and commitments that we all have. So last time I took the train, which I really enjoyed, because although Deutsche Bahn is notoriously not very punctual, in the end you can get a lot of work done. It's a 6 to 8 hour train ride, but you still get a lot of work done, and you do have to transit twice if you leave from Antwerp, in my case. But I actually, overall, I really liked it because you also arrive in the middle of the city. And this year, I went by plane, and
I
you.
went by train this year. It was the first time for me. It was very enjoyable indeed. Yeah. Also, main consideration now was the cost, because I saw that for a last minute booking to Berlin on nice timings, you would pay like thousands for a flight, and that's not worth the flight to me. For a 1 hour flight, no.
And Fruit Logistica is so big that my flight that I took was a Brussels Airlines flight, was full. However, it was a special, like it's not a regular flight. It's a
chartered,
temp-
okay.
yeah, like a temporary. They just
do like
ran
Royal
that
Lands
flight this
make
week.
sure.
Yeah, and,
Maybe I should do
and on
like a
the way
commercial
back-
offer for next year.
You could. And on the way back, there were 2 crew in front of me who were deadheading from Berlin back to Brussels. So yeah, they were on the extra flights. So it's so huge. But I didn't enjoy. It's not that I didn't enjoy the flight experience, but it's just so much time. But also, taxis to the airport are so expensive.
It's crazy. It's not the service that you would expect from a taxi, because you have to wait in line for everything, or you need to arrange something just besides the fare. I think we were very lucky when we were.
I've kind of, because when I was deciding like should I book a train or fly, the train was a lot more expensive than flying, like 100, 200 euros more expensive. But if I look at what I've spent on taxi and just time that you lose, think, yeah, next year I'm definitely gonna try the train. And there's the European sleeper as well, departing from Antwerp, which
Then
I
you have to
wanted to
make it
book.
like a
But
2 week visit.
yeah, they only run two or like 3 times a week,
Yeah.
something like that. So it was just, yeah, the timing was not
I especially
convenient.
plan to not spend extra time in Berlin in February because the city itself at that point in time,
Yeah.
I wouldn't visit it.
Yeah, because you had an extra day as well.
Yeah, I did have an extra day, but looking back to it now, next year I won't have an extra day.
No.
So
Oh.
right. Unless they move Fruit Logistica to summer, because then Berlin is a very nice city to
Yeah,
visit.
yeah, then indeed.
Yeah, I think Madrid's is Fruit Attraction in Madrid is in October, and it's not that, it's a bit chilly already. But of course, for us Belgians, it's
I'd
summer
rather
weather.
try to go to Madrid and have to go to
Yeah,
Berlin,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's depends on what you like, I guess. The Berlin vibe. My personality is the opposite of Berlin.
Yeah, it's a very dark vibe city. I feel like
Grungy, anarchy.
it has a lot of history and culture, but it's not the culture that I enjoy the most when I'm visiting the city. I want some more vibrant actions. I did, however, have a bucket list check during the fair. I went for a run at the airport, well, the abandoned airport, which was really cool. So that was, however, an extra in Berlin. I don't know if you guys have any insights on who were the most interesting people at the fair for Dockflow. Maybe that's something nice to know, how we at Dockflow want these fairs to go, and what's the most purpose.
Yeah, I've kind of changed my mindset with these kind of events when I was young. Well, in the early days of Dockflow, I would really be thinking, oh my God, who can I sell to? And I need to close sales deals, which is draining, exhausting, and totally unenjoyable. And it's not productive.
Yeah.
So I really switched my mindset to just meeting people, learning about what they do, just having fun. Yeah, talking to a lot of people, connecting with a lot of people, but not, I'm not thinking about, oh my God, who are we going to close here?
Yeah.
That makes it more enjoyable.
There's also a certain skepsis I see around startups because they've seen a lot of startups already come and go.
Okay.
Especially, I think when the COVID hype was there were a lot of startups in their own T-shirts, branded, running around, and we don't see them anymore now. So I think the people there, they will look at a new startup, get to know the startup, and if they're there next year, then they might be interested. That's how I feel about the people, the new people that we meet here.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, no, it's always great to see our customers or users of Dockflow or their partners. And it is pretty fascinating if you think about it. Literally, the whole world comes together there. So yeah, it's a little.
You cannot go to any restaurant in Berlin at night, without seeing people with their lanyards still on.
Right. Yeah.
I'm happy that we got our own Dockflow lanyards. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. Indeed.
That was a really big plus.
I'm looking forward to having our own booth.
Yeah.
And I will be using, I cannot wait. I know I say this every time. I cannot wait to do the IKEA return policy hack where we buy furniture for our booth and after the fair, return it.
I cannot wait to drive to Munich.
Yeah, true.
Look forward to drive here.
It's a long drive. I looked it up and it's, I think, a little bit long. It's not as fast as Berlin because, of course, between Hanover and Berlin, you just drive. We drove the first time at Fruit Logistica, we drove and we just went, I think, 160 kilometers per hour on the most amazing piece of highway ever.
200 or something.
Yeah, the car couldn't go faster. It was a Cambio. It's a Citroen, so yeah.
Very nice, very nice. So looking forward to some new fairs, some more fairs this year for Dockflow to represent us. I think we had a really nice talk today. I really want to thank Michiel, Pauline for being here again this week. I also want to thank the listeners or viewers of our podcast. And we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.